As you've been building your business and selling your offers, are you tired of hearing the objection that your prospect doesn't have the funds? They don't have the money to invest in your coaching, your courses, your offers, etc. Did you know that the least heard objection on LinkedIn is that the person doesn't have any money? It's a very interesting platform that brings some very interesting possibilities to the forefront because the average income of people on LinkedIn is much, much higher than other platforms. So if you've ever wanted to break into LinkedIn and figure out how to use this platform to connect with more people, cultivate relationships with them, share content that really grabs their attention, and then actually convert them into being a paying customer or client, then this week's episode is perfect for you. That's exactly what we're going to dive into. And we're just going to unpack the fine art of networking, essentially, and how to use LinkedIn to explode your business this year. So let's do this. Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneur Show with Adrienne Hill, a place for online business industry expertise and thought leadership, where you can build the skills, structure, and systems you need to thrive in business and have a lasting impact in your industry. Let's do this. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Social Media Sales Summit. I'm super excited because today we're here with Fain Brandt. She teaches entrepreneurs, business leaders, executives, and sales teams how to fill their pipeline by using LinkedIn in just 1 hour a day. Her client successes include everything from landing a client 1 day after working with her to being offered a job 3 days after getting laid off. And her clients typically see a 35 to 65% increase in profile views and engagements, which lead to conversations that convert. She specializes in working with financial and IT professionals, coaches, career professionals, and business owners, just like you, to help, increase their visibility, but more importantly, learn how to connect, cultivate, and convert. So we are so lucky to have her here with us today. We're going to get into all the details about using LinkedIn, but specifically how to have killer posts, how to connect, cultivate, and convert, and what type of content to put out there. So I'm really excited about this one. Welcome, Mary. I'm so excited to have you here with us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I feel like this is going to be such an amazing summit, and I can't wait to watch all the amazing speakers because I know I'm going to walk away with a couple golden nuggets, that I need for my business. We're all here to learn and grow, right?
Absolutely. And I don't care how long you've been in business. I learn something new every day. And even though I host events like this frequently, I download almost everyone's gifts myself because I'm learning as I'm going. I'm like,
Right.
Wow, I'm getting your stuff and I'm getting your stuff. Like, it's wonderful.
I did that too with one of my summits. I was like, oh, that's a great headliner analyzer. Where did that come from?
So I make use of it, even though I'm here hosting and speaking as well. Like, I'm always learning. So I love this. Now, for the audience members who maybe have not had the pleasure of meeting you yet, could you tell us just a little bit about you and your journey and how LinkedIn became such a big part of your business?
Sure. I'll try to keep this short. So I'm going to say, first off, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. My dad had his own real estate appraising company and I worked for him, and it was up and down. I worked for him off and on, and it would be feast or famine. We were doing great. We could buy what we want, or we were starving. So I grew up learning that entrepreneurship was scary and not reliable or dependable, right? So that was my mindset. So fast forward, and my mom got sick. She had early onset Alzheimer's, and it was getting increasingly difficult to work my full-time job, which I thought I was going to retire from. I literally thought I was going to retire from the Bishop School in La Jolla, California. And then my mom got sick, and it became increasingly, I was aware that I needed to be there for her, be her advocate. Eventually, we moved her into a nursing home, but I was there 3 times a week. So she always knew to the end who I was. And that was so important to me. So I had started my business not knowing anything about business, entrepreneurship. I had gone to a class about next steps in my career, and I decided I couldn't get a 9-to-5 because I wanted to be there for my mom. And I had set up the worst LinkedIn profile in 2008. Okay. I was on a date, but I liked my hair and shirt. So I cropped the guy out. right? And put that picture up. My title was executive assistant. That was my headline. It was literally a copy paste of my resume, right? It was awful because I didn't know anything. But when I went through this outplacing support program, I started learning about LinkedIn, and I decided I was going to, create my own business, career coaching for women, because I was turning 50 and I was going to have to get a new job. And I was scared to death. Who was going to hire me? And in that learning environment, I learned that I don't want a job. I'm going to create my own business. And their career coaching, it's at an international organization company. And some of the stuff was very antiquated. And I was like, I can do this better. And we were talking, I'm super organized. So I had a binder with 20 sections of what you need to do, all color coded with samples. And I said, I can do this better. And I started coaching people at my job, career coaching. So I started off as a career coach for women because I wanted women to find positions with purpose. I wanted them to align their skills and talents with their career. Women get stuck in jobs because of family commitments. They leave the professional life when they have children sometimes. So I really wanted to help that sector. And they all needed help with LinkedIn. Every single one, from not having a profile, from having a really bad profile. So that's when I started taking LinkedIn courses and webinars and really dove into learning LinkedIn. And I fell in love with the platform because it's a professional platform and that's what I was using it for. And so then this segue came. My mom passed in 2016 and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep my company. I had 2 clients at like $100, like not enough to even pay any of my business costs. And so I was at this crossroads. Do I get a full-time job or do I keep trucking along in the business? And I'm a woman of faith. And I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Give me a sign. And I got like 2 more clients. And then we rebranded. And moving forward, here I am as this international LinkedIn coach and strategist. And I still do career coaching. It's not the main focus. My main focus is helping people go from boring to badass on LinkedIn and show your personality and become more relatable.
Oh, I love that so much because, guys, there's so many things that popped as you were telling your story for me. I mean, how many of you in the audience, be honest, and we can continue this conversation in the Facebook group. How many of you have heard someone say, well, LinkedIn is basically just like your electronic resume, like just make it look like a resume. And that's so far from what you
paste. Just put your resume up there because that's going to get you a lot of traction, said no real LinkedIn trainer ever.
And I think there's this incorrect assumption that a lot of people have. I think it's super common. They assume that because it's a professional network, they have to be like these cookie cutter, super professional, really stuffy people. And it's like, you don't have to be that way.
Or they're coming from corporate America. So I work with a lot of women that, were in corporate America and now they're launching their own business and they don't know how to share their voice. They don't know how to tell their story. So recently, one of my clients and business partners, he's like, we need to change your headline. You're the extractor of stories. So one of the things I'm known for is when I'm talking to my clients, I was telling them, like, every time I talk to a client, they walk away with 5 pieces of content. I extract their stories and we turn that into content. And I know we're going to talk about that a little later, but I love helping people find their voice, polish up their profile and put personality in there because let's face it, everybody's online these days. Okay. 2020, the world came to a stop and everyone realized, oh, snap, I need to be on LinkedIn for my professional network because that's the only way I'm going to be able to really connect and cultivate, right? Ooh, those words, connect and cultivate and convert into opportunities is by using LinkedIn. And so we saw this influx of people that were LinkedIn trainers with those titles because they saw an opportunity. So, kudos to them, but they really weren't LinkedIn trainers. They were maybe social media managers. Maybe they were a consultant of maybe a networking group. And so they gave some really bad advice. And we saw people go in hot and heavy in the DMs with sales pitches. And it hurt me to see people get bad advice. And it pissed me off getting all these DMs. If I can be frank, I was like, no. So that's why I created my 3C method, which is connect, cultivate, and convert into opportunities.
Yeah. So I love that because I've seen and experienced that as well. every time I go on LinkedIn, I just have a bunch of people trying to sell me stuff in the DM. So I like never go over there. Honestly, like it's not going to do you any favors if you're doing that. So I love that you're specifically focusing on, like you said, those 3 C's, things that actually allow you to connect with people, like real connections, right? Cultivate that relationship. And then step 3, then convert them into whatever it is you're trying to direct them into, right? So let's unpack that just a little bit, because I think there's a lot of people, once they're realizing, I don't have to be stuffy and professional. It shouldn't just look like an online resume. Like if they're wondering, how do I use LinkedIn? Like, what should I be posting? How do I connect and cultivate? Like, let's start with those 2 pieces, because I think it really is all about the connections. It's really all about relationships. But a lot of people, they hear that, but they don't understand
what that looks like and how. Okay, let's start with a connect, cultivate, convert, and then we're going to add content, because you really need to, I think, do it in that. I'm very systematic and strategic when I work with my clients. You know, there's 3 phases. You build your profile, right? Build a strong and strategic network, and then it's content and engagement. So let's start with connecting. You want to add the right people to your network. It's not Instagram, you guys. So 10 million followers, 10,000 followers, it's not that kind of numbers game over on LinkedIn. You want to have the right people in your network, but you also want to have a diverse network, a network that you can learn from, that you can educate, you can mentor, you can be a mentee. So I want people to take off the blinders. Sometimes people think very linear, like, oh, that person's in a different country. Why would I connect with them? What value are they going to add? Well, we don't know who they're connected to. And that happens all the time, where someone will connect with someone maybe in Canada and they're United States, and maybe they don't have service base. Maybe it's a product that they sell. But in today's world, we are a global world. So take the blinders off, think diverse network that you can learn from, and think strategic. You know, who can you connect with? I'm not looking at clients. I'm looking at quality people. What are they posting? What does their profile look like? Are they engaging on LinkedIn? So when you connect with someone, you want to send them a very short, sweet, simple first message. No links, no articles, no PDFs, no let me fix your website. Mary, you'd be great on my team. None of that. It'd be like, hey, Adrienne, I saw some of your content over on LinkedIn. I really like the post on scaling your business and the tools that you mentioned. I use one of those. Made me pop over to your profile. I like your profile. I love adding savvy business women to my network. Can we connect? Right from your heart, make it relatable. Don't overthink it. So that's tip number 1. Connect with the right people, send the right message. You know, you don't go on a date, or you don't, let's take it back to junior high. You see a cute guy, you don't run over and kiss him. Well, and if you do, that's a different story. I want to hear all about that. you know, in junior high or whatever, you have a crush. You look at each other, you might share lunch. You know, you might walk to class together. You might in 3 weeks hold hands. It's a cultivating, right? You're cultivating that relationship. The same thing with your online relationships. Let's take it to business now. At a networking event, I'm going to grab this right here. If you're the person that walks up and starts throwing these in my face, you're the person I'm not going to connect with. This is the business card for the younger people that don't know what this is. And don't worry, right. I think it's going away forever. You talk to them, you get to know them. And the same thing online. Talk to your connections. How can you do that? You can look at their content. You can cultivate the relationship by commenting on their posts, by sharing it, by doing an introduction to someone that would just be cool for them to know, or someone that maybe can help them, or someone, again, I tend to go with, hey, you know what? Like I have my girl, Jamie Hain. She's an amazing website designer, but I introduce her to people because she's just amazing. She's someone you just want to talk to. The benefit is if you need a website, you might go to her. Right? So connect people with other business owners that you think are cool, engaging, and thought leaders. That's how you can cultivate your online relationships. And then that third C, convert to opportunities. Okay. When I say opportunities, I don't say clients. Did you all notice that? The reason for is I want people to take their blinders off, and I want you to rethink how you're using LinkedIn. If you're using LinkedIn just to find clients, you're missing out on a ton of opportunities. I want you to think about brand ambassadors. What's that? That's when someone's already organically commenting on your posts. They love you already. That's what we call a brand ambassador. We all need to have a few of those in our back pocket, right?
Absolutely.
I have a few, and they actually ended up being on my masterclass. He was so amazing. Like he'd been commenting for like 6 months on my stuff, joined my private group. Then we had a conversation. Then we were in another group. I was like, Bez, I'd love for you to come on and talk about how you use LinkedIn as a recruiter. He was so amazing, but he started as a brand ambassador. What about people that you can collaborate with? Like we're collaborating, right? Yeah. I love that. Collaborating is probably my favorite thing. And I find more people on LinkedIn to collaborate with than anywhere else. Podcasts, live shows, writing a book. That's on my list for 2022. If anyone wants to co-collaborate, writing a book, hit me up. Let's talk. LinkedIn local events. I'm collaborating with those in 2022. So brand ambassadors, collaborations. And then of course we're going to get clients, but you know what I think is even smarter than getting clients on LinkedIn? Referral partners. A client pays you once. A referral partners pays you for life, right? They just keep referring people to you. So when you think about converting to opportunities, stop thinking about converting just to clients. We all want clients, and those are going to come organically when you follow that 3C method. Does that make sense?
I love this advice that you're helping the audience to think about. There's more than one purpose for connecting with someone. It's not just you're either a client or you're dead to me. It's, maybe they're just a good connector. Maybe they're a referral, maybe they're a friend. Maybe you just make a friend and that's all.
Maybe they're your business bestie and they become an accountability partner.
Right. Maybe you end up speaking on their podcast or vice versa. And yes, maybe they become a client. That's possible, but there's more than one possibility. And simply by planting that seed and approaching not just the platform, but any connections you have there with that mindset, what it does, commission breath is gone, right? People can smell that, you guys. If they can tell that the only reason you're messaging them is because you're like, how quickly can I turn you into a client? Commission breath.
I'll delete you.
Like, it's terrible.
Yeah. If you DM me with a sales pitch, you get deleted and blocked. And if it's a really bad message, like if it's just off, like it's not even business related, you'll get reported. So I want you guys to know that you have that option on LinkedIn. You can delete and block someone and they won't know. Like if you just delete and block them. And I've done that because I don't want those people in my network. That doesn't serve me or my network, right? Yeah. What if they I just don't want those people in my network. I don't have that kind of time.
So I love that piece of advice. I think it brings another C to the table. If you're curious, when you meet someone, if you think to yourself, ooh, I wonder why I'm meant to meet them. I wonder what kind of relationship we're going to have. Like, let's find out, right? That curiosity of being open to any one of those 6 or 7 potential reasons why maybe you'd be a great connection. All of a sudden, the commission breath is gone and you're open to possibilities, opportunities, like you said.
Opportunities. I love opportunities. I like options too. Maybe that's why I created that method, because there's options there. It's not just I'm going in for the kill and finding a client.
Right. Yes. So for people who are now going through this process, they're connecting, they're open to all the different, ways that they can connect with someone beyond just signing a client or a customer, right? What role does actually the content that you share, what role does that play in this process? Because, at the end of the day, it's a social media platform. People are posting things. Like, what should that process look like?
Oh, I love this topic. Talking about content. I'm in a couple different LinkedIn mastermind groups, and we were just talking about algorithms, what's killing your posts, what's helping it. So let me start with this statistic. There are nearly 800 million users on LinkedIn, 800 million, and only around 5% are creating content. So why is that important? That's an opportunity. That's a huge opportunity for you to get in front of people and start creating your own organic, unique content. So the 4th C that I think I'm going to have to add to my 3C method is content, right? We're just going to have to add that. And then maybe consistency. Yeah. So let's dive into content. First off, there's a couple things that do matter. The size of your network. So if you have a small network, you're going to have a smaller reach, which is going to result in smaller engagement. That's just math for you, math 101. So make sure, so that's why you have to connect, right? Grow your network, cultivate, and then convert to the opportunities. So with the content, Your numbers could be smaller if you have like 1,000 connections or followers. So that's one thing. Also, your profile strength. How well is your profile set up? Is it boring or is it badass? I like to say that because most people, they have this boring, generic profile, and we need to turn that around and make it be you. You need to be you online. The same person you're offline is who you need to be online so that you're more relatable. And when people meet you face to face or on Zoom, they're not going to be shocked or surprised, right? So I talk with my hands. I wear bright colors. I'm excited. This is who I am offline and online. No one is shocked when they get me on a Zoom call. Okay, let's talk about some more statistics before we get into the type of content. You probably don't realize, but LinkedIn only shows your posts to 10% of your network. So if you have 500 people in your network, only 50 people are seeing your posts initially. Okay. So that's called the test group. Again, I talk with my hands. Air quotes are a thing. So 10% of your network is initially going to see your post. That's called the test group. Mm-hmm. If they engage, their LinkedIn is going to continue to show your post to more people in your network. If they don't engage, it will tank. It will tank horribly. They will not show it to anybody else. And I'm going to let you guys know it happens to the best of us. Even us LinkedIn experts, strategists, coaches, we post content and not all of it is a success. And that's okay. So tip number one, don't get bummed out. Okay. Don't get bummed out if you have some content that doesn't have the reach that you thought. Last Friday, I posted micro video. It was a video clip from a show I did. I thought it was great. It was amazing. It was just like 2 minutes. It was about how to save $10,000 on your website, relevant topic, right? Yeah. I posted it on a Friday at like 12:30 p.m. It tanked. Why? My audience is used to seeing my posts like 7 or 8 a.m.
Okay.
So time does matter. You need to do your own research for your audience and your time zone. So I'm in Pacific Daylight Time, right? So that 7 a.m. post actually can reach a larger network. East Coast, Central Coast, right? When I'm posting at 12 in the afternoon, it's already 3 o'clock on the East Coast. Sure. Those people are picking up their kids, taking their dog for a walk, wrapping up for the day. Maybe that's not the time that they're on LinkedIn. So time does matter. Do some A/B testing. I feel, and the group that we've been doing these strategy, research, 7 a.m. is great time.
And specifically what I'm hearing is that this isn't like a short-term game. Like if you're investing your time in LinkedIn, this is a long-term play, right? And you need to test and figure out the right number of posts, the right time to post, right? How many times a day to post. And what I'm hearing is that it might be different for you than it is for me because our networks are different.
Yes. So let me throw out some other statistics here. LinkedIn is not Instagram. Let me repeat that. LinkedIn is not Instagram. Every platform has its purpose, you guys, but LinkedIn is not Instagram. Do not use 10 hashtags. Do not copy your post from Instagram onto LinkedIn. It will not work. It will tank. Okay. So 3 to 5 hashtags on LinkedIn. There's a pro tip. Don't use more than that because LinkedIn will punish you. If you have 10 hashtags, they're not going to show that post.
Oh, okay. So less is more.
Less is more on LinkedIn. When you said something about how many times a day should you post, this is not a platform where you post twice a day. Once in a while, I do it because I have something I have to get out to my network. I just feel it's important. Usually doesn't work that well. Okay. Once a day is all you need to post.
Okay.
And if you're just starting off, 3 times a week.
Every day, or can it be every couple days? Like, what would you advise?
What do you want your ROI to be?
Yeah. So once a day is best.
Once a day is best. I probably do 4 times a week.
Okay. Yeah.
I know someone who does Monday through Friday, a post every morning, and they kill it. They also kill it because they have great content and they have a large engaged network. So there's a lot of parameters, right? When you're thinking about content, and you do always have to test it. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you're on LinkedIn, you know that polls have been hot. I did a poll about Clubhouse and it got like 24,000 views
Wow.
and 200 comments. It was on Clubhouse. It wasn't about LinkedIn. It was about, is Clubhouse dead? Are you still using it? Like,
Yeah.
I did that poll and it had an amazing reach. I also tagged 2 people in it, 2 people that I know use Clubhouse because I wanted their input, and it was strategic in posting them. So when you tag someone, it needs to be relevant to them. And you should not do, I don't know what they call it, but just when someone tags like 20 people, don't do that. It actually hurts you. So I'm not sure if your audience knows this. When you tag, if you were to tag 10 people and only 2 of those people replied, LinkedIn is like, oh, this person's tagging people that aren't interested, right? Or it's irrelevant. So they actually, again, push your post down.
So that can kill the algorithm.
It can kill it. Yes, it can kill your post if your people that you're tagging do not reply and comment.
Gotcha.
So I find tagging 2 to 3 key people on that post I did. I tagged 2 people I know use Clubhouse. I was in one of their rooms, and another colleague of mine says that they were having great success. So I said, are you still using it?
Yeah.
So got to understand all these little ins and outs. Now polls are starting to die. That's the other thing. Something that's working, it's not going to keep working. As in any social media platform. What do I see working right now? Long form posts, long text.
Really?
Long text posts. Yeah, they're killing it right now. I know, that's what I said. I'm like, really? I thought those died out like 2 years ago.
So there's ebbs and flows. Like it might be hot now, and 3 months from now, polls might be hot again. And so you kind of, I'm hearing you kind of just have to stay on the pulse of like be in the feed long enough to
be in the feed long enough. And to your point, LinkedIn is a long game. So any golfers out there, right? The short game is the putt, but the long game, you got to keep practicing that, right? So LinkedIn is the long game. And last year, I had someone reach out to me that I had been connected with and spoke at an event 3 years ago. 2 weeks ago, I had someone that I connected with in 2017, not even as a business person, just that they lived in an area that I was going to. And we never got to meet in person. She just reached out to me and hired me. Top of mind, tip of tongue, posting consistently. So quality content and posting consistently and getting great engagement. So I always say, mix up your content. Long form, long text, that's doing well right now. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to write some long text posts. Video always does well. My best performing media on LinkedIn is my live show. It's more engaging. People are in the comments. I'm replying back to them, right? But I've also kind of trained my audience. I'm going live Wednesday, 9 a.m., Wednesdays at 5 p.m., right? And I set up an event and invite them. I have I use Shield AI for my data analytics, and that every Wednesday, the spike.
Right. So video, because I know every expert that I talk to across every platform is saying video's hot, like use video. And I can see why. I mean, imagine if we were trying to have this conversation through long form posts, like it would take a year and a day, right? So I get it, right? It's the quickest way to build relationships, build rapport. But what I'm hearing is if you're going to do lives, do it on a regular basis where people can start to predict.
Consistent.
Okay.
Pick a day and time.
Okay.
And don't worry, I started a new show called 15 Minutes of Fain. It's 15 minutes Wednesdays at 5. I'm talking about LinkedIn, business development, and my favorite products, right?
Yeah.
So I had one where I had no one show up. Is that disappointing? Yes. Did I do some things wrong? Probably. Did I market it? No, I actually don't even market that show. Yeah. We do a StreamYard, we put it up, and that's it. But I'm training my audience, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. It's 15 minutes. It's short and to the point. If you're doing video, you want to make sure you're using captions, because I think it's like 85% of videos are watched with the sound off. People are, still. So put the captions on there.
Yeah.
I know just the other day.
They're at work. They're wanting to listen to your video, but they're at work. So they're just like, they're reading the captions.
So the other day I was at my doctor's office waiting to get called in, and I wanted to watch a video, but there were no captions. Did I save it? No, I'm not going to go back. Right. So put the captions on the video. If you're doing a live show, be consistent, pick a day and time, play with it. I've had 3 different times. I started when I was working full time. My show was at 7 p.m. at night because that's when I could do it. So now it's at 9 a.m. in the morning. And I'm thinking maybe it should be at 8 a.m. so I can reach the East Coast people. I don't know. We could change that. Yeah. Multiple picture posts on LinkedIn. So that's called a carousel, where it has the multiple pictures. Those tend to do about 10% better. One thing I can tell you that not to do, and my post tanked last week. I was lazy. I use a scheduler. I know, but I can't post every day on all those platforms. About 85% of my posts, I use Agorapulse and for my scheduling of my content. And then I do about 20% organically. I do believe you need to do some organically, but putting a link in the post tanks it.
Really?
Big time.
So don't share links on LinkedIn, not in your post.
Don't share. Yeah, you can put them in the comments. And I don't like that, but I went for it and I put it in my post. It tanked. And the LinkedIn mastermind group, we had a whole discussion around that. And all the research still points to no links in your posts.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go.
They drop by 15%. Yeah, you'll drop by 15% engagement.
Wow. So I'm hearing very clearly that links can hurt the algorithm, if you will. Now, how much does it hurt the algorithm if you're using a scheduler? Because like you, I'm so busy. If I'm not scheduling it, frankly, it's not going to happen. So right. How much is that going to hurt me?
So we don't feel that it really hurts us enough to not use one. We all use schedulers, but I do suggest you do some organic posts where it's not, maybe one post a week is organic. It's a thought that you're just like, hey, I want to get this out to my network.
Yeah. If you are regularly doing a show, as you've suggested, like at the same day every week, can that help to like give a little boost to those posts that you've used a scheduler for?
I don't know if it can help those, but it does help your overall content picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went over hashtags. It's not Instagram, 3 to 5 hashtags. Regarding hashtags, you should all have your own hashtag, a personal hashtag. So we have Grow with Mary, because I want people to grow with me. And then Mary on the Move, because one of my branding people, she's like, you're always on the move. How about Mary on the Move? So I use those. And then the other 2 hashtags should be relevant to your posts. So LinkedIn tips, entrepreneur, those are hashtags that I use frequently. Sure. So we talked about hashtags, consistency, only 1 post a day. It's not Instagram. If you can do 3 posts a week on LinkedIn, I think that is a great starting point. Perfect. Just be consistent. And then I just want to say stories sell. Facts tell, stories sell. So when you're creating content, think about a story that you can share, because people want to connect with people, especially we're still on Zoom calls, we're not having a lot of face-to-face interaction. We need to be relatable to our audience. Mm-hmm. And one way that we can do that is by sharing our stories. Now, when I work with my clients, I'm the extractor of stories, right? I take a story and then I'm like, okay, we're going to tell the story. We're going to get them. You're going to hook them. And then we're going to tie it back into the business, right? So what's your story? Did you overcome something? What is the saying? You never want to talk about like when you get cut and you're bleeding, like when you're in the thick of it, you want to talk about it after the scar is healed. Like, yes. I forget what it's called, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be like, oh my gosh, my website fell apart. I don't know what to do. You don't want to talk about that. You want to say, let me tell you a story. I had an awesome website and then it disappeared. And I realized that my website was driving a lot of traffic. You want to start with that after the problem's already been resolved and weave it back into your business.
Well, and that makes so much sense, because if you're sharing a story after it's been resolved and you've gotten some like amazing epiphany from it, that's totally different. Because if you're telling it while you're in that piece of like struggle, you sound like Debbie Downer, right? You sound like you're just complaining. So that totally makes sense. Now, because LinkedIn is a place for professionals, right? I feel like there's more business kind of content there. What mix of your content should be business related versus personal? Is there a different blend on LinkedIn versus other platforms?
Definitely. So it's more professional. So I say 80% of it should be all about your business, solutions that you provide, tips, trends, and thoughts for the business. For me, my show is tips, trends, and thoughts for the business professionals. That's what I'm sharing. But then, I always like to say 20% professional. And let me explain that a little further. On your profile, if all you have is what you do and the services you provide, I'm not quite sure that that's going to compel me to connect with you. I always like my clients to share a little bit about how did they become a divorce concierge. Oh, she probably went through a divorce, right?
I mean, there's a story there, right?
There's a story. So on a profile, I break that about you section into 3 parts. It's the story, right? You want to hook them, and then what you provide, and then your call to action. That's how we break it down. It makes it easy. Okay. It's a little more detailed once we get into it, but you want to share who you are. And a lot of people are afraid to do that on LinkedIn. But at the end of the day, you guys, there's a person behind the profile. Yeah. There's a person behind each profile that's looking at your profile. If you're looking for a job, that recruiter is a person, and you need to be relatable to the people online. And if all you do is slap up your resume, talk about your services, how relatable are you really being?
Right. So I'm hearing it is okay to skew more towards talking about your business, like 80% business, 20% personal. As long as the personal elements you're sharing are relatable moments, it's okay to have that ratio. Because I know like on other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, for example, it's more like 80% personal, 20% business, or that's what a lot of people recommend. So this
so just reverse it.
Oriented.
It should definitely be more business. I'm not posting pictures of my food over on LinkedIn unless I'm at an event and I'm showcasing the food vendor, right? Like that makes sense. But me just like, hey, I went to Sensational Coffee, got a coffee this morning. It was great. That doesn't belong on LinkedIn. So think about the audience. And I know there's a post from a good friend today about like, I'm seeing a lot of posts about, your kid's graduation, a death, like, there's some really dark personal stuff that's coming over there. And I don't really want to see that over on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the LinkedIn professionals really want to see that kind of personal stuff. So think about it.
Okay. So share some audience personal stories about you, but more from a moment of relatability, not so much a, hey, here's my life story. Come sit on my couch and let me take all the skeletons out of my closet.
No. I'm writing a post about, are you an itinerary type or a go with the flow person? And it's about our trip to Nashville. And it's really about, do you need, is that type A, I guess? Because I have to have an itinerary every time I go anywhere. Yeah. Like day by day, like lunch, here's what we're going to do. Then we're going to go shopping. Then we're going on a tour. Like I break it down. It drives my friends crazy, but at the same time, I think they secretly like it because I've done all the research. So and and they don't have to. So I'm writing this post about my personal trip. I'm sharing some personal photos, but I'm going to tie that back into how organized are you in your business? Yeah. Are you just throwing spaghetti at the wall, or do you have a checklist?
I love that. So take the personal moments, but still tie them back to business in some way.
Absolutely.
So quick question then. I know on LinkedIn, of course, you have your personal profile.
Yes.
But now there's these like business pages. How do you recommend, like, how should people be using both sides of that equation? Should they bother getting a business account? Like I know on Facebook, for example, the business page is pay to play. If you're not putting money behind ads, like
it just sits there. It's a placeholder.
It's a placeholder. Like, sure, you can have it, but no, like organically, it doesn't have that much reach. What's the story about LinkedIn business pages?
So LinkedIn, they have company pages is what they're called. They're actually revamping them. They revamped them it was right before COVID. So almost 2 years ago, they added some more features and functionality. I'm going to say they are still a placeholder. They have a purpose, but if you're a solopreneur, you're not going to get the traction over there as you would on your personal profile. So this just came up in our mastermind group. Should you post on the personal profile? Should you post on the company page? I'm a big believer in post on the personal profile. And then if you want to add it to your company page, so you have stuff there, do that. You have to have at least 300 followers to get any kind of analytics. If you're into it, Google, one of these big companies, you're going to have a following over there because people know you and they're going to follow that page for sales, product development and tips, right? As a solopreneur, people are going to follow us, or even a small business owner, they're going to follow us over on our personal profile. So I always set that up because it's the only way you can have your logo auto-populate into your personal profile, right? And you don't have that gray box, but focus on build on the personal profile.
So when you say build on the personal profile, but add it to your business, do you mean like literally copy and paste the same content over, or do you mean like share it? Is sharing good on LinkedIn?
I schedule it through my scheduler. So it's the same content, different days would be better, right? Different times. So I have 3 LinkedIn accounts and I'll do 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So it's going out. Yeah. And so if you limit it on time, and you want to focus your energy on one of the 2 places, you're saying focus on your personal profile first. 100%.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about sharing posts, because I know on other platforms to share someone's content is like the biggest compliment you can give them and it boosts the algorithm. Is that true on LinkedIn also? Is sharing good?
I think sharing's always good. However, the LinkedIn algorithm, not a big fan of sharing. So if you hit the little share button, right? If you're reading someone's post and you're like, oh, that's great, I want to share it. And you hit the share button and you share it that way, it's not really going to get the reach. Instead, what you want to do is go to the ellipses, the 3 buttons, click on that. And there's something that'll say copy link. Copy the link, put your thoughts about the post above that. Like, hey, Adrian, I just really, this is a great post from Adrian. She's given 3 tips that can help you scale your business in 3 months. Put some thought behind it and it'll do a little better, but it's not something that I focus on. Organic content is better. So 100%.
Simply sharing other people's content. If you're not sure what to post and you're thinking, well, I'll make one post of my own and then share someone else's, like, don't do that.
I just don't spend my time there. The return on it is so minimal. I mean, other people like it. Oh, when you do that, make sure you tag the author or the company. That will help. So, if you had a post and I was like, oh, this is something my audience needs to see, these 3 tips, I would copy the link, I would put my own 2 cents and I would tag you in that post so that you see it. And that will help a little bit, but there's not a lot of ROI on the sharing aspect.
So if you're skewing more heavily towards sharing super valuable content to attract clients and customers, rather than simply try to like hard sell them in messages, for example, but you're saying links actually kill the algorithm, what's the best way to lead someone down the path of potentially jumping into one of your sales funnels or watching a class or taking a workshop? Like, what's the best way to actually funnel them towards the link if you can't post the link?
So this is a great question that we're still diving into. You can put the link in the comments. If it's an event, you just said workshop, masterclass, sales summit. Create the event on LinkedIn and you can direct them to a ticket. Like if you're selling tickets, you can direct them to Eventbrite or wherever. If it's free, you can still direct them to wherever the event is. So creating a LinkedIn event is magical. You can invite up to 1,000 people a day. Now, let's say this sales summit, you want to drive traffic to it. You create a LinkedIn event, you invite all the speakers as a speaker. Each of the speakers can invite 1,000 people a day. So with my masterclass, I didn't set it up until like the week of, but we got over 500 people signed up for the masterclass via the LinkedIn event.
Wow. Okay. So that's fascinating. So because a lot of people have, they have some sort of a lead magnet or a freebie or, whether it's a checklist or a guide or a free video series or a workshop or a challenge or whatever you want to call it, right? They have something free that they offered so people can get to know them a little. It's sounding like the best way to share freebies isn't necessarily make a post with a link, but make a post that references an event, set up an event and start inviting people.
Well, for events, it would have to be an event. It would have to be a workshop, a masterclass, a summit for you to create the event. That makes sense. I wouldn't create an event to say, grab my freebie. That wouldn't really work. People would be like, wait, I thought it was an event. You can put that link in the first comment after the post. Like if you're talking about, let's go, what type of content, Mary, should I post on LinkedIn? I'm always stuck. I don't know what to post, right? I could do a post about that. Like, here's where my clients struggle. We get their profile done, but then they're not ready or they just don't think they have enough ideas. Well, you know what? I'm going to make it easy for you. You can grab my 30 days of LinkedIn posts, my PDF for free. And then I'll put link in first comment. And then in the first comment, I would go in and put the link.
Okay.
Still not, is it a perfect system? No.
No. Yeah. Is it valuable? I know on a lot of other platforms, the attraction marketing style works really well where you say, hey, if you want my free checklist for whatever, let me know below and I'll send it to you. And then you get tons of comments like, I want it, I want it, I want it. Is that good on LinkedIn?
No.
Don't do that.
I see that on Facebook and Instagram all the time. I don't see that over on LinkedIn.
So it's just not something that works.
Be mindful. It's a very different platform.
Yeah.
So you just have to remember it's not Instagram. It's not Facebook.
Yeah.
So know that have I ever seen that on LinkedIn? No.
Now the question is have you never seen it because it doesn't work there, or have you seen it because no one's ever tried it there?
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm going to be 100%. Go ahead and try it. Let me know how that works. That's going to be a lot of manual process too. So wouldn't it be easier? Like my freebies are sitting in a platform that I can direct people to, and you get to pick your freebie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook. I would think that would not play very nicely over on LinkedIn. So you have to remember, what does LinkedIn hate? It hates you when you go off the platform. So it hates people who are saying, hey, jump over here, leave LinkedIn. I've got something for you.
Okay.
So, maybe, you can say, DM me and I'll send you the link. Maybe that's a better option. I'm not sure. I haven't done that. I'd have to play with that.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Now, for those of you who are listening, you may have heard Mary talk about, she referenced these LinkedIn post ideas. That's a real thing. And actually, she has this as a gift for you guys. So Mary, do you want to tell us a little bit for those who are like really wanting to get into posting valuable content on LinkedIn, but they're just not sure where to get started, not sure what to even share. You want to tell us a little bit about your gift?
Yeah. So this is 30 ideas. So literally I'm giving you a month of content ideas. Some are business, some are personal, right? Holidays. You can always post on a holiday. You can always do behind the scenes and talk about it. Don't just post a picture of your office. Like maybe you got a new setup, right? Do you have a standing desk? Are you asking people like, I need a new desk. Here's what I have. I need something new. What are your suggestions? So I have 30 content ideas for you. And just remember 3 to 5 hashtags. One should be your own. Images still do really good. Videos, you don't always have to be on camera. You can create a video with just captions over it. So there's a lot of different ways to do videos. If you're doing a video post, it shouldn't be more than 2 minutes. Short and sweet. We all have a little ADD these days.
Well, that's probably encouraging to the people who they're so tired of hearing that videos where it's at, but how encouraging to know like truly 2 minutes or less, because that's all people want on LinkedIn. So great. Keep it short.
Yeah. Short and sweet. I mean, my live shows are 15 minutes and 35 minutes, but that's a different format. That is a whole show. If you're just posting a video up on LinkedIn, like 2 minutes is that sweet spot.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's great. Well, what a valuable gift to give to the audience for those who are ready to get out there, right? You know that this is the next platform that you want to learn, or you simply want to leverage it better than you are today. Either way, these 30 ideas are going to be the perfect way for you to really sink your teeth in. And hopefully by the end of those 30 days, creative juices are flowing and you've brainstormed maybe the next 30 that you could put out there. So what a great gift. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. I want to see everyone get on this platform and start creating original content and sharing their knowledge, because there's so many talented, knowledgeable professionals out there. And I call them the LinkedIn lurkers, the LLs. They just sit there and they just do this. They just like read the stuff, but they don't comment. They don't create their own organic content. I'm like, come on, jump in the fun. There's a party over there. Start creating some content. Let me know when you do. Tag me or send me a DM and connect with me. I'm here to support you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've been a lurker, now might be the time to get more active. And I love that. So you guys definitely grab that free gift. It's going to help you to get a smart start on LinkedIn, but join the conversation over in the private Facebook group we have set up for everyone in the audience. The speakers are in there too. There's a chance for Q&A. You guys will get to ask questions, meet the speakers. How cool is that, right? To make sure that you're actually taking action, because I would love nothing more than for this particular event to be the catalyst where people say, this is the event that changed everything for me, right? So let's do that together. Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing your knowledge with us. We're so appreciative.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Now let's get over there and start creating some content, you guys.
Let's do it. See you there. Bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Impactful Entrepreneur Show. If you found amazing value here, like, subscribe, and leave us a review to help other people find the high value content that we share, and find us on social media so we can continue the conversation. See you in the next episode.